All right. Well, we'll kick this thing off. And I am excited, Dave, to start another episode. And we have a great interview today with Aaron Chepenik from Smoke Wagon out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Thanks for joining us, Aaron.
Hey, my pleasure. Oh, have you started recording? Is it officially started now?
We are official now.
Oh, no, I've changed my personality to become boring. Hello.
Yeah, because none of your personality comes through at all.
Thank you for having me on. Today we're going to talk about our Q4 projections and
please no. That's my life outside of here.
Yeah. Well, that's like that was like the first time I went to do sorry, I'll let you finish your introduction.
No, here we are, man. We're
okay.
To try some your fantastic whiskey that you guys are putting together. And
thank you.
I'm just super thankful, and like I said, a little bit starstruck. We've been longtime fans of Smoke Wagon, and you guys.
Well, I appreciate it.
Putting out some fantastic products, and you've been doing.
I try, man. It's like all I can do is blend it so that I like it. I'm still the gateway. It's still me. Like, I don't do a lot of stuff anymore, unfortunately, because I'm doing more businessy things now, like negotiating contracts and trying to figure out navigate the modern bourbon landscape. But I still do all the blending. And I've never compromised on anything. Like, if anybody talks shit about something, like, well, I liked it. I mean, it's not like I was just like, get it out the door, I don't give a fuck. Because we never wanted to sell, and we wanted to become a legacy. And to get there, you have to have quality, and in my opinion, a perceived value. Like, there was a whole period in time where there was no perceived value. Like, if something was rare, it didn't matter if it tasted good or not, because people would just fucking buy it. They weren't even drinking it. It was like Beanie Babies. And there was all this pressure coming to me from distributors or retailers to like raise the price of uncut unfiltered and like, or pulse uncut unfiltered and keep it limited. And pulsing meaning like only make it a quarterly release, because we were doing it to keep up with demand. I want everyone to get it. And I was just like, all this we're in a very brief moment in time, and this is all going to end. It always does.
Right.
And if we're sitting here overpriced, we're not going to connect with like real people and actual drinkers. We're going to connect with collectors. And once this category loses prestige, they're not going to collect anymore, And so, I mean, granted, there's exceptions. Like, people are always going to like try to get pappies and stuff like that, but
that's different.
And so I was always like, hey, I kept making decisions to try to keep the packaging affordable and not raise our prices, and just and it all kind of worked out, because like the more volume we did, the better deals we got on stuff. And so and then even now, oh shit, I don't know if I have them here. This Straight and Desert Colt are coming out in custom bottles, because we do so much volume. It's cheaper to do it in that. And then also, those are more of the face of the brand now, because where the market is, because those are both under $40.
Yeah, and we actually, I don't know what happened. We lost your video.
So
we can't see those bottles.
God damn it.
Technology, right? It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Well, that gave me an opportunity to go grab them. Let me see what my thing's saying. Yeah, it says the video's off. What's going on? And what are you doing to me?
Oh.
Is it back?
Maybe.
No, is this frozen?
Fantastic audio for a podcast, so we're not posting video yet. So
I might have to use my crappy camera. I tried to use an external camera, but I think I'm just gonna have to use the old shitty laptop camera.
That's all right. Again, we're as of now we're just audio. It's just so.
How's that?
There we go.
Sorry, it's not as good quality anymore.
um, we've been drinking your whiskey for years now. I know for me though, I don't know much about you other than you as the face of Smoke Wagon, and
I didn't exist before that. I was created in the lab to
You like spawned out of a barrel.
Spawned out.
Like, I'm here to do whiskey.
they just roll me up in a hand truck and drop me off, and I start blending.
Yeah, animatronics are amazing these days. But so yeah, how'd you get into this? What was life like for you before he?
I owned bars.
Okay.
I owned bars, and you know, when I was young, well, a lot of things happened. First of all, the bar business changed. With smartphones, you know, the whole world changed. Because like before smartphones, if you wanted to go out, if you wanted to have sex, you had to leave your house and talk to somebody, and usually drinking helped. So everybody went to bars to drink and have sex, not in the bar, hopefully, even though that did happen in Las Vegas a couple times.
Yeah.
Especially when there was no smartphones to record anything and post it to the world. Shit was definitely crazier. But you know, obviously I got old, like the business wasn't as wild. I was getting older. So like the age difference between me and the average customer was definitely growing. And once I wasn't like partying anymore, I kind of was like, man, well, a lot of things happened. The industry changed. So the money wasn't there anymore unless you like did a bunch of fucking bars. And I was like, I don't want to do a bunch of bars because then all of a sudden everything starts becoming corporate, and I don't want it to, like, I want it to, you know, to be like this. I hate to use the word family because it's bullshit. We're not I mean, you know, it's like I care about my employees and I try to give them like a good work environment, but it's not like if they found a better job, I'd be like, oh, how could you do this to me? This is like my father leaving, you know. But I do try to create like, it's definitely more of a lax atmosphere. It's like but you have to be the best. That's the caveat. If you're the best and do your job, you will get no supervision. You just do whatever. And then if things start fucking up and your nights stop making sense, then it's like, okay, what are you doing? But it just I didn't want to do more bars and I was bored. Like there's no creativity. The creativity for me was designing them and all that, and getting them open and everything. And so I wanted to do something different. And my business partner Jonathan was always saying that we should open a distillery. And I wasn't really inspired in the beginning. And then one day I was like, you know what, dude, we should. I think it was the first time gas went over $5 a gallon. And, you know, I was just sitting around waiting for people to show up in the bar, and nobody had any money. And all the manufacturers like were increasing their pricing. I was like, we can't increase our pricing. And then I was like, and I'm not having a good time anymore. I'm kind of bored. I just want to do something new, you know? And so that's what it was. And honestly, I was like going to get into distilling. I was like, I want to learn how to distill, until I went to MGP and I went, I have nothing to add to this.
Yeah.
Anybody that says craft distilling, the actual distilling process is better than the distilling at a place like MGP or someplace big where they have a methanol sniffer and computer screens and they're cutting their hearts exactly when it's pure, because they've got a real-time chemical composition readout going on. If you're going to try to tell me craft's better than that, you're full of shit, because maybe you could get better grains or whatever. Not that any of that matters in the distillation process, because you're distilling. You're like, I mean, you distill water when you want pure water, you know? So I was like, I'm not going to bring anything new to the distilling process. And But in the beginning, that was it. I was like, I want to learn how to distill. And then learning how to blend was just, but yeah, so when I was like 29, I didn't want to work for anybody anymore. I realized I'd rather be broke and doing my own thing than working for, well, especially because I was working in the film business. So I didn't want to work for those people anymore. And then I said I'd rather be broke and doing my own thing. And I got my wish because I was totally broke for quite a while until, I would just like roll one business into the other. And then it finally, I got to bars.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Cool. Well, you want to introduce our first pour for us that we have
Yes.
for the evening?
So this is the straight bourbon. This is our entry level, 92.5 proof, non-chill filtered. And so I did this way back in 2020, and everybody told me I was crazy because they were like, you should do finished bourbon, or you should do this, or you should do that. I was like, no, we're never going to be a real brand if we don't have a sub $30 objectively superior product. Whether or not you like it better than other stuff in that price range, that's subjective. But this is objectively superior because it's higher proof than anything else by like 2.5 points. And it's a 40% small grain mash bill. That's a more expensive mash bill than what anybody else is doing at that price point. And it won 2 double golds. And I kind of just did a YouTube video on this where it's like, I feel sorry for anyone going into a bourbon group asking for advice. And because I don't like talking shit about other brands. Well, even it would be like someone's like, what's a good bourbon to buy? I just got into bourbon, and they say uncut, unfiltered. Someone who just got into bourbon is not going to like uncut, unfiltered. It's going to have way too much oak for them. And they're going to perceive that as ethanol burn or harshness. You need to adapt your palate. And the difference between bourbon and like say Scotch is bourbon is aged in a new oak barrel in an environment where you have hot summers, cold winters. There's a lot of movement. It does not. Yeah, sure, you can pull a low floor 4-year and it's going to taste, have a lot of youth, but you can get 4-year that's beautiful.
Right.
And more accessible, where you have a much wider audience that's going to like it than something older. And so the reason I say about bourbon groups like, oh, everything Smoke Wagon's good except for the straight bourbon, blah, blah, blah. It's, whatever. Well, when I stand behind a table in a liquor store, in like a grocery store or a big liquor store or a non-bourbon specific whiskey event or a cigar event, that is everyone's favorite. Without a doubt. That is the one that I can give to anyone and they're going to like it. Even seasoned bourbon drinkers, might want more depth and complexity, but the audience for that is very wide.
Right. It's a good,
and it's won a bunch of awards, 2 double golds, double platinum. So back during the height of bourbon, to me, that was really important because you couldn't find uncut everywhere. You couldn't find all the barrel picks, and that was always on the shelf. Yeah. And the fact that there's something that's always on the shelf and in a sub $30 price point is winning those awards, that was like really important.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely very approachable. I think the part I'm liking the best on it is the nose. And I'm trying to put my finger on what the note I'm getting there is. It's pleasant for sure. I can't really describe it any other way than it's got some sort of like barrel candy thing on, but
I'm the worst when it comes to that stuff. I try to describe flavors to people, but I'm like, what? Like even in the beginning, I was like, I'll like it. It tastes good. Let's go.
Yeah,
that's me. That's me right there.
And I feel like I'm also picking up maybe a little bit of the rye that's in here, that characteristic, and little cinnamony on the palate here. This is good. I'm liking it.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with 4-year. As long as it's affordable. That's right. You can get 4-year to taste amazing. No, it's not going to, you can get rid of all the youth. It's not going to have the oak and the depth and all that. but it should be affordable because it's only 4 year and you don't have a lot of evaporation. And so for us, you know, as a non-distilling supplier, people have this perception that like every month I go out shopping for barrels. I rarely go shopping for barrels anymore. And if I do it, like maybe it's like I plan out a year. But all this is contract distilled because there's no way I could get to that price point if I was buying anything with age to it. So these are all barrels that they distilled for me. They only exist because I paid for them to get made. And so I've watched them and done inventory management through all the years trying to figure out when I'm going to pull certain stuff, you know, planning years ahead to make sure I have what I need like all the time.
Yeah.
Through spreadsheets.
Back to our earlier conversation.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to cut you off. I have a question for you. So most of the
Yes.
people we've interviewed on the podcast are smaller distilleries. One thing we haven't really gotten into a whole ton is blending. So ever since you first started, you've been completely 100% transparent. You source barrels from MGP, you blend them,
Yep.
and you make them your own. How did that relationship start? And why is it you ultimately chose that route instead of distilling yourself?
Oh, well, we didn't have an option really. When I first started, there was no distiller's license in the state of Nevada. You could either be a rectifier, you would be a rectifier with permission to distill. And then they introduced the craft distiller's licenses. So when it came time for us to open, they were like, what do you want to be, a rectifier or craft distiller? And I said, I want to be a rectifier with permission to distill. And they're like, we don't do that anymore. So that was a 6-year process from the time we rented a space to the time we were finally ready to release. And in 2012, you know, we were just going to do vodka in the beginning, and I started drinking bourbon. And so we decided to do bourbon. And in 2012, everybody closed their doors on craft brands because 275 craft distilleries opened up, and collectively they were seen as competition. And so the go-to was Heaven Hill, and they're like, no. And MGP had just bought Seagram's from an investment group called LDI. And before them, it was Pernod. And before them, it was Diageo. So they were sort of in a unique position where they were the only place that was 100%. The business model was distilling for other people, because there was very few, you know, there was no Seagram's anymore. And so anytime, whether it was Diageo or Pernod would buy it, they would instill all these contracts and then sell the facility. And so it was just a place, distillery, making products for other companies. And so they didn't have their own brands, and there was no like competition. And even for me, okay, when I found out that MGP was the only place to go to, and I went to the website, I was like, what the fuck? Are you shitting me? Like I was like, I don't want to buy bourbon from these guys, because they were wearing like lab coats and like talking about food grade protein and all this stuff on the website. And I was just, and it wasn't until I went there and they told me the history of Seagram's and why they built that distillery there. It's on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, because that's the way the wind blows, so it gets all the mist every morning. And then Seagram's built these double wall masonry rack houses that were very expensive, and they have no windows except in the stairwells, and that way they could seal in all the humidity.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it's on top of an aquifer. They get their water for free. Whatever it costs to run the pump, that's how much their water is. To give you an idea, this year we did 14,400 barrels. That's like 4 million gallons of water for mash. I can't get 4 million gallons of water in the desert for free.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And I think if I sucked 4 million gallons of water out of the ground just so I could evaporate it in the still, I don't think anyone would like me very
Be
much.
strung up.
Yeah,
And it definitely we definitely wouldn't have this product at this price point. So, you know, there was a lot of speculation like, oh, what would it be like to age in Las Vegas? And Greg Metz, he was like, oh, you're gonna have balsamic vinegar bourbon. You know, because like they're talking about humidity, like how important it is. I'm like, I have no humidity, and they're like, you're Tuscany, dude. You know, it's like you take wine to Tuscany, so it all evaporates, and you get balsamic vinegar, and that's what you're gonna have. And he was right, because the one guy who tried to do it from scratch, he went out of business because he lost 50% the first year. So back then, it wasn't even about water costs because we weren't big enough to like be doing 4 million gallons of water annually or whatever. But it just we bought 700 barrels in 2012 and we started contract distilling in 2015, and then in 2000, and so the original plan, which thank God it didn't happen, was dump the 200 5-year Seagram's barrels and pull off of those until the 6-month MGP barrels we bought came of age. And fortunately for us, the fire department never approved those tanks. So we never dumped those. And then 3.5 years went by and I was like looking at my inventory and I was like, oh man, we're going to have 4 year and a day, which is important because you don't have to put an age statement on it, 4 year and a day. And so we had to call and because of that. And so we called and they were like, you know, if you're for real, come out here. And so that's how I got to see everything. And, you know, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but it's just, it was so much information in that one trip. Like my business partner, Jonathan, found me like staring over watching the grain trucks. He's like, you okay? I'm like, no, man, everyone lied to us. Like, how do you even scale to this? And this isn't even big, you know? It's like they got their warehouses of the letters of the alphabet, and it doesn't even go to Z. It's like Jim Beam has 150 of them. And look at this place. Like, we don't have the money. You know, we're just like a couple of assholes. Yeah, it's like Jonathan had money, but not like that kind, not like equity partner Bardstown money, you know, or like, or even equity partner Uncle Nearest money. It's just, you know, we're just like a couple of guys who want to do this. And so it all just kind of and that shaped everything. So our consultants at the time, they're like, oh yeah, because I said, hey, we have 4 year now. Can I blend for a flavor profile or consistency? They're like, oh no, what you want to do is, because you never released anything, you know, release small batches in 8 year, and because the 5 year barrels were 8 year, and when your 4 year turns 4 year, you step it down. And I was like, that sounds like being an asshole.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, that's what all the big brands do. Yeah, and so that's why non-age statement bottles traditionally have a bad reputation, because it's not because like don't have an age statement because you don't want to have a you know, bottle that's like 70% 8 year and 30% 4 year and put a 4 year statement on it.
Right.
It's because like people would release it, win medals, and then establish a audience and then step it down, because they probably figured the average consumer was like drinking it, you know, with Coke or something. So I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to take this 8 year. We never got picked up before the 4 year turned 4 year. So when that happened, I pulled some of those barrels and I just tried blending the 8 and 4 year together. It took me 3 days to do like one location of 8 year and one location of 4 year to find a right ratio. And I just loved it.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, my business partner, he was out of town. I was like, hey, dude, when you come to town, you got to try this. And he was like, I really like this. I was like, I like it better than the 8 year. And he said, I did too. Because all the rye had aged out, you know? And so it was like, it wasn't as smooth. It had more going on. And that was like small batch, and then all our consultants were like, "You don't want to do that," and I said, "Oh, you guys are fired. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
I can't take it anymore. It's
Yeah.
our money." I was like, "It's our money. This is what we want to do. I honestly feel I like this better than anything else. So I can stand behind it, and it's now proprietary. It does not taste the way it started. It's totally unique. We've As a craft distiller, I wouldn't be able to import anything, and now it's 2016, so we were a year of contract distilling, all those barrels. The guy who opened is losing 50%. It's just like this is what we're doing. If anybody has a problem with it, don't buy it.
Yeah.
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 And so was that the origin of the small batch then?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so how long were you doing the small batch before you started introducing some of the other blends? Like the uncut unfiltered?
A year. Desert Jewel and Uncut Unfiltered came out the next year. And Desert Jewel was just like, I've got 10-year barrels on the fourth floor, and they're getting over oaked. Well, I guess Uncut came out first, because Uncut was 8 and 4-year, and so Desert Jewel, God, my memory's failing me. I guess Desert Jewel was much later. I think yeah, because 2017 we had 9-year. I used the last of the 8-year, because they were like only a few months apart, like same location. I used 8-year for Uncut, and then I was doing so little Uncut at the time that I barely sold any, and then those barrels turned 9-year, and we did 9-year barrel picks.
Hard to imagine.
But even Uncut, man, it's like I remember my favorite story. The head of craft spirits for our distributor came by, and he was like, "What are you working on?" I was like, "I'm working on Uncut Unfiltered. This is going to win a double gold at San Francisco this year." And he said, "Cast strength bourbons don't win double golds." And I said, "No, I blended this one to taste its best cast strength." Because that's the thing. Back then, if you went to a website for somebody that had cast strength bourbon, they all said the same thing. This is a starting point for the consumer. Please enjoy some spring water and figure out where you're going to like it. And I was like, well, what's the point? I can give you small batch with no water, and I blend that to taste good at 100 proof, so it's going to be too thin. So I'm going to make a cast strength taste its best cast strength. And then that's also when I learned that like cast strength had no meaning. So I did like all these videos, like everything's bullshit, everybody. Like cast strength doesn't mean anything. You can call anything cast strength. And then or yeah, and so he was like, so he said, oh, it's not going to win because cast strength bourbons are too much of a shock to the palate. And I said, no, I blended this to taste its best. And he said, well, how does it taste? And I said, I don't know. It tastes good. And he's like, you're going to have to be more descriptive than that. And I was like, oh, well, it tastes really fucking good. And because I wasn't like, oh, it's got stone fruit and a wisp of coconut or whatever. I was just like, this is really good. I really like this. And it won a double gold. And that was sort of like industry people were like, hey, you guys are doing something. Like Steve Beal was in town, and he used to be the head of Brown Spirits for Al Diageo, so he knew the Seagram's distillery, and he was like, I know what you're working with, and you've done something here. Like you created something new. And then I saw the Western Regional Manager for Compass Box up in Reno at a whiskey event, and he was a San Francisco judge. And he was like, he was like, Uncut Unfiltered, we were all talking about this. Like you are the only one like trying to create something. Everybody else just is like, we can tell it's MGP when we try it, or we can tell where it comes from, and it's not finished. Like you're creating something. And so it was really cool. And also it was really cool because I would do tastings. There would be some asshole that thought he knew everything and be like, oh, well, and I'd say, well, just won a double gold at San Francisco World Spirits Competition, and Steve Beal, Whiskey Hall of Famer, requested to meet me when he was in town to tell me how good he thought it was. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah. So was the name Uncut Unfiltered, was that kind of your way of presenting it to the whiskey world, of kind of saying, hey, this is something a little bit different because, there's barrel proof on everything, cast strength, kind of those
Yes.
terms we're used to.
Yeah, because uncut was a technical term. It had real meaning. Cast strength or barrel proof had no meaning. So I wanted to have like real meaning.
All right, so we are going to pour up our second pour here now. This is the Desert Colt Full Strength. So, can you tell us a little bit about this one?
All right. Desert Colt full strength. So the straight bourbon was such an easy sell. And when this originally was Uncut the Younger.
Okay.
Right.
And I wanted to call it Desert Colt in the beginning. I got talked out of it and I called it Uncut the Younger. And I just saw that like a lot of bourbon guys, their main problem with the straight was it was too low proof. And I was like, it'd be cool to have an affordable cast strength daily sipper the way straight is like a 92.5 proof daily sipper. And I'm going to do it. And it was not a huge success as Uncut the Younger.
Okay.
Well, first of all, we didn't have enough to like really get it out there.
Yeah, I don't think
So the first hurdle was it was limited. And when it was limited during hype time, people were like selling it for more than regular uncut. And so all of a sudden, nobody understands the 3-tier system. And they see me releasing a 4-year cast strength that's like $90 on the shelf. And they don't look at the retailer. They look at me like I'm a fucking asshole. I was like, no, that's supposed, back then it was supposed to be like low 40s. I made packaging changes to get it sub $30, sub $40. And then when the market changed, I was like, this should be a monster right now, and it's not moving. It's got to be the name. And I reached out to some people, like liquor store managers, like, yeah, the word younger is kind of like, eh. And I was like, okay. And then I went to a big, huge restaurant group, and the beverage director did not want to put the word uncut on, and they weren't bourbon specific. They weren't going to bring on uncut unfiltered. It was too high proof, too expensive. They needed stuff with that lower per ounce price point for, on premise. And I was like, why are you not going to, they just wanted to call it the Younger. And she said, well, uncut means you're not circumcised. That's kind of gross. I don't even know why you call it that. I was like, I'm changing the
they don't
name.
do that to whiskey.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm changing the name. And it is like states that plowed through Uncut the Younger and now have Desert Colt. It sells. States that like where have smaller distributors, they weren't really able to move the Uncut the Younger. It's still not moving. But like as soon as somebody gets Desert Colt, man, it's like a rocket ship. It's and then
Nice.
kind of what I was talking about earlier. So I'm sorry, now I'm on my shitty laptop camera. But so those two are more of the face of the brand now than anything, because as bourbon has declined, the premium category has actually increased.
Right.
And for like, the normal person, you think premium is like, oh, what, $100? Premium is $25 to $40. And so both of those are in that price point. So they're both get their own custom bottle. So this is going to be the new straight bottle. We're going to start using this month.
Okay.
And it's got the guns and the glass and everything. And I don't know how well you can see that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, I mean, you guys have such amazing bottles.
Yeah.
It's the West in a bottle, right? I mean, it has all that great sort of maybe 49er kind of look to it, and
well, well, thank you. And that was the thing, because like I looked at old, bottles, like especially coming from the bar business. I had so many people that like tried to do like old timey bottles, and I was just like, nothing good came in a bottle like that.
Yeah.
Like people spent money on packaging. Like when you look at Four Roses bottles from the late 1800s, it's all embossed with roses. Like the labels had gold foil on them. Like anything expensive looked expensive. Anything that like looked old timey was not something you'd want to drink, you know.
Like you have that, was it, is it a wax seal that's
Mhm.
pressed into most of them? Yeah, I love that. Just the aesthetic looks great, and yeah, I think it looks
Couldn't do that with these because it's too expensive. But
right.
yeah, so that just, that bottle was designed for silver dollar vodka. And so the Morgan silver dollar replica goes there. And then when it came time to do the bourbon, I wanted to do an amber bottle because that's traditionally how they were. And I just said, let's do wax. And it's funny because for me, thinking about doing wax, I imagined like wax going on in a stamp while the bottle's standing and like it dripping down and everything. But that's not how it goes. The bottles are on their backs and they go through a machine and the stamp comes down and they go through a dryer.
Yeah,
And so,
you don't have it.
and then like originally they mix UV glue with it so it sticks and doesn't melt and all. It will melt. I've seen it melt like in Las Vegas in the summertime. But
Well, won't melt.
they're like, yeah, we found the perfect combination of UV glue and wax so that it's really solid so each one looks the same. I was like, okay, that's the opposite of what I want. I want them all to look the same, but don't know, like plastic, like a cheap piece of plastic stuck in there. They all have to be different, and obviously wax. You put so much of that UV glue in there, it stops looking like wax and start looking like a plastic, just I forget what it's called, but like a little plastic thing. But yeah, Desert Colt, man. Desert Colt, I love Desert Colt. I learned more about blending with Desert Colt than anything else.
Okay.
How so?
Because straight has water and small batch and uncut is taking the properties of young stuff I like and canceling out the bad, and taking the properties of old stuff I like and canceling out like the over oaked element. This at cast strength, everything's bad. Everything I'm working with is bad. And I have to figure out how to blend it to create a chemical reaction. Because even though you're not adding water, they're all in different locations, different floors. And so they're all going to be different proofs. And anytime you blend stuff with different proofs together, it creates a chemical reaction that's going to generate microbubbles, which are temporary in heat. And so it changes the molecular composition. And so I have to figure out how to take these things and get it all to change and taste totally different. And I see brands where like our batches are only 7 barrels, and if there's one bad barrel, oh, you can't hide them. Like, well, that's not blending. You're just trying to blend. You're just mixing together some barrels that taste good. Like, like blending is you're trying to create a new, in my opinion, a new unique flavor profile that does not exist in what you're working with. There are exceptions. Like there's times where there's something I like and I try to preserve it, but 90% of the time, and it's always the finish. The finish is always like, even if they're like, oh, toffee up front, a 4-year at cast strength is going to finish pretty harsh. And so I have to figure out what to do. And I just learned so much. Like sometimes it's counterintuitive where you take the one that tastes worse, you do more of that and it changes everything so it tastes better. And then also a lot of the times, if something is just kind of nice and delicate, it's not going to do anything because even on its own, it's not like, oh, well, that barrel's so good at 4 years old. We'll just leave it like that. Well, I shouldn't say that barrel because everything's batched. So every vintage and location is batched into its own tank. So when I do a blend, I'm not pulling from a barrel. I have a tank and I know the specific weight, and I can tell the guys to batch specific weights from each one so that our batch tastes exactly the way my blend is, which I do in grams. So it's it's mass to mass. It's not volume to mass, because volume to mass is not going to work because they all have different densities depending on alcohol, how much fat's in each one, water, evaporation, all that. So, it's pretty cool. I forgot where I was going before I start talking about the mass element of it. But yeah, oh yeah, so we batch, and when something's delicate, it's not going to like really interact with anything. So like there was this one, even recently, there was this one that was like super soft and delicate up front, and like totally like it was oaky on the finish, but it wasn't like big, and I couldn't. All it did was dilute the blend versus like having enough to counteract. Was like I couldn't find something its opposite to interact with it. So it was actually harder to work with than taking two things that are really extremely bad in different ways and blending those together, and then they can't, all those flavors cancel each other out because they're both super big. And so yeah, I just learned so much.
So, Aaron, I was putting two and two together earlier. Were you saying that you guys have like a custom mash bill from MGP?
Well,
try to
it's
put-
36% rye. It's their mash bill
Okay.
originally. So that exists because that used to be the heart of Crown back in the day.
Yeah.
And then but I think this year we did so much of it that there is no other 36% rye except for what they distilled for us. We maxed out their capacity.
And then, so you're ordering in the barrels. Has the age of the distillate inside the barrels changed over time? Like from when you guys first got started to now? Like, are you guys doing more, I guess, aging in your facility than their facility now?
For uncut, I age a lot. It's all 8 year now, 8 and 9 year, but when it was 7 and 8, like I would bring in way more than we needed so that they could sit all year. Like I always had barrels that had been sitting for a year to use just for uncut, because when they have some age to them, it's not like putting new distillate in a dry barrel where everything just evaporates, instantly. But you do get enough loss where it doesn't really make sense to use in small batch or like that, because it's just small batch, the price. So like people look at uncut and they're like, oh, I can get a 12-year for that. And I'm like, well, okay, at cast strength, you can't, and then a lot of it's just the stuff that it's so much is evaporated, even though it's not all 8 years old. All that stuff is like there's such a minimal yield.
Yeah.
And
And that's the thing that people don't understand. Like, they see like a 10-year product that's 90 proof, and they're like, well, that's only like $45. It's only 10-year. I'm like, yeah, it's 90 proof. It's like that. There's so much of that is water and not bourbon. Plus your tax on a bottle. That's like, it's like I don't know, like a $1.50, $2 difference in how much tax you got to pay on that bottle based on proof. And so, age isn't everything. Age is a factor, but proof is, if something's like straight out of the barrel, high proof, you're paying a lot of tax. There's no water, and that's why like Desert Colt is so rare to be a cast strength bourbon, even though it's 4 years old, under $40.
Yeah, that's amazing.
well, I'm sitting here nosing this, um, and it's definitely robust. I like that. It's got a nice backbone to it. And I guess like a mild sweetness, but a lot of great spice going on.
Yeah.
I'm liking the spice notes on this.
Yeah, I mean, because the rye is the nice thing about like something like rye is you don't need to age the youth out of it, because its youthful flavor is nice. It's not like corn where its youthful flavor is all vegetative and not good. So the older rye it gets, the less of the rye characteristics it has. And then, sort of trying to blend out most of the oak. I can give Desert Cold that's like 118 to 120 proof to a general consumer, and they're probably going to like it. And if I give them uncut and filtered that's like 115 to 116 proof, they're going to think it's hot because of the oak. It's a trip.
I like the palate and the finish. I was just looking at the glass. It's very leggy, but it's nice on the finish because the rye kind of spice dances on the mid to back of my palate, and then I get a great coating in my mouth, very viscous. Is
Yeah.
great. I'm
Yeah, it's a
liking
great
this.
pour.
Yeah, they're all super creamy, lots of fat, just
Just like my diet.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. No abs here.
I love fatties. So
Um,
I
so
like my bourbon, like I like my women thick.
yeah. Hey, new T-shirt idea right there, man.
Yeah, that's why we never sold. So I could have t-shirts that say show me that bunghole and don't be a little
Yeah.
bitch, drink full strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all your guys' merch. Yeah, you got some good one.
Thank you.
Earlier I was thinking, when you were talking about maturing in Las Vegas, the put a little desert magic on it. That's a good one.
Desert Magic is real.
Yeah.
I can bring in over oaked barrels and it'll suck all the oak out of them because even in the wintertime, even though like barrels that I pull in from MGP that are fresh don't change as quickly in the winter, everything is still flowing in one direction because even like a humid winter here is like 30% humidity,
Mm-hmm.
and so nothing's expanding and contracting. It's all moving out. And so it'll suck all the tannins out. And I can take undrinkable over oak barrels and let them sit here, and they get this completely unique flavor that I've never experienced in anything else.
Okay. Thanks for that explanation, because I was
Yeah.
thinking that the desert heat would make it more oaky, but I could see what you're saying, where you get a little wintertime and then it kind of acts like a sponge and soaks that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause the low humidity, everything's like losing water, and it's everything's constantly being pushed into the wood. It's never contracting. So it's never sucking tannins or anything out of the wood. It's always pushing those flavors in and picking up more sugars from the, toasted element of the oak.
yeah.
And remind me if I'm wrong here, but did you guys move into a new facility recently?
Well, we're working on it.
Oh, you're working on it still. Okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like last year, and then 2024 was a wild ride, man.
Yeah. Probably more of that fun.
Yeah, we had a lot to deal with in 2024. I know everybody did. We had a lot to deal with MGP. I don't think well, I mean, the guy's gone, so MGP didn't feel like he handled it well either, but the CEO did not handle the turn in the market well.
Yeah.
Like he bullied us all into fulfilling our contracts to try to like keep the quarters where they were, instead of I don't all I can everything's like hearsay. I wasn't there for any of the meetings, but all I can say is what I would have done. I would have been like, hey, board, the market's changed. I think this year is going to suck. Our primary goal should be to preserve all of our relationships with all of our customers,
Yeah.
not, hey, we're going to make our quarters, and in doing so, we're going to destroy every single relationship we have. Everyone's going to quit and go work for barrel brokers brokers and then steer all the business away from us, and everyone's going to try to get out of their contract and leave. That's not what I. That's like not the path I would have taken.
Right.
Well, we're just now pouring up the small batch here. So
Small batch?
talk to us a little bit about that one.
Yes. Oh, you want me to?
Oh,
I thought you were
yeah,
just
yeah,
asking if
yeah,
I could. Yeah, so small batch, man, like I said, small batch is where it all began, and small batch is my desert island. If I could only have one, oh fuck, uncut Desert Colt, man. Desert Colt's pretty. Now that I have Desert Colt, it's tough. But both of those are always consistent. That's a different, and I am never not in the mood for small batch. I would say at my house, I primarily drink uncut, unfiltered, but when I go out to dinners, do events, bar spends, whatever, I'm not going to drink uncut, unfiltered. I'm going to drink small batch. And it's all every time I have, I'm like, fuck, this is so good. Like, I should drink this more often at home, and there's some uncut blends work better in the winter and some work better in the summer, and small batch is always the same, and it's always like it's got enough depth and complexity where I don't feel like I need more, and it's a low enough proof where it's like I can drink it in public and not embarrass myself, and
Keep it together.
yeah.
So in talking about that consistency, what how do you blend it? Like what is that process? Do you just take 40 barrels, put a little bit in until you get the flavor you want? Like how do you get that consistent blend?
Pretty much. I mean, like I said, so barrels come in
Mhm.
and everything gets batched into a tank depending on its vintage and floor. So let's say I'm gonna go do a small batch blend. Well, the thing that's gonna have the most amount of tanks is uncut because it's gonna have 8 year, it's gonna have 7 year, it's gonna have 5 year, it's gonna have 4 year. So I might be working off of 13 different tanks to figure out an uncut blend. Small batch is usually I don't have any 7 year right now, so it is 8 year, but I use the lower floor 8 year because I don't want small batch to get super oaky because I still need it to have a wide audience appeal.
Yeah.
And especially with like price programming and stuff, we can get small batch under 50 now. And that's a wide audience appeal. And so the oakier it gets, the smaller your audience. That's just how it is. If you're trying to sell based on flavor profile, if you're trying to sell on like hype and prestige, people will just choke shit down they don't like so they can say they had it.
Yeah,
But
very true.
I mean, that's the thing, because like I'll do events and people like, I'm like, what are you drinking? They'll tell me. I'm like, okay, there's not enough of that to go around. That's not what you drink. You don't drink. That's just something you've heard of or you tried it once or whatever. And I give them the entry level and they're like, this is, oh my God, because it's got no bite and it's smooth.
Yeah.
And that's what they associate with luxury. And they're like, what is this? Like $100 bottle? I'm like, no, the bottle's $29. And they're like taking pictures of it and shit and freaking out. So when you're talking about like trying to expose your brand to actual drinkers based on the drinking experience and seeing the price and whether or not that makes sense to them. I want small batch to have a certain flavor profile. Also, it gets used in cocktails. It does very well at bars. And so I try to give it depth, but not make it too oaky. So the path to get to that consistent flavor profile is always different depending on how things taste. And so the guys will pull samples for me. So I'll sit down at my table and I'll have a sample from each tank. And sometimes it's something I've been working with. I kind of just know what to do. And other times I'll try the samples first, or sometimes I kind of plan the blend out in my head on the truck. And so I just see if it works, see how good I am at that. And if it doesn't work, then I'll try all the samples. And, but it's always different. And so I do everything 200 grams at a time, and each gram is 0.5% because that way, like 1% is 2 grams. That's that's like real liquid. A gram can be like what's stuck in the glass, stuck in the beaker or whatever. So then when I figure out that blend, I write down so every batch is always the same weight. We're trying to get to 2,500 pounds. So uncut, desert cold, any cast strength batch is 2,500 pounds. Any small batch is going to be 2,100 pounds because depending on the proof of your initial blend, it's roughly about 400 pounds of water to get it to 100 proof. And then straight's always 1,900 pounds. So I take my percentages and then, take that like off of either 2,100 for small batch, 2,100 pounds. So it's like, 10, we'll make it easy. Let's say we have 10 tanks and each one was 10%, so that's 10% of 1,900. I mean, 2,100. But yeah, it's just all by taste. It's all by taste. Trying to figure it out. The path to get there is always different, especially depending on the seasons. In the wintertime, I'm fighting against oak. With straight desert colt and small batch, I'm just fighting to get oak, trying to bury it, trying to get it sweeter, trying to get it spicier in a cinnamon spice way, not an oak spice way. And then uncut, I'm like, whatever, it's winter, dude. It's fucking oaky. Go sit outside in the cold and drink it. It'll taste good,
Yeah. Little by the campfire action for sure.
It really does sound like a good blend of science in that.
Yeah, you need the science. I mean, I went to research the science so I could understand things so that it didn't take as much time.
Yeah.
Because if I'm just in the beginning, I'm just like throwing shit against the wall, like trying to figure out well, that worked. I don't know why, and it took me 3 days. I don't have 3 days to figure out a blend anymore. Like guys are waiting. If I don't figure out, like I show up and I have to do an uncut blend, a desert cold blend, a straight blend. Like if I don't figure it out that day, they're not going to batch it that night and it's not going to be ready to bottle in 2 days. And like no one will have any work. So, I don't have 3 days. And so I was like, okay. And also curiosity, I wanted to learn. I was like, what is this? What makes this happen? Oh, that's lipid esters or that's
Yeah. I'm enjoying this one as well. On the nose, there's kind of like trying to figure out what fruit I'm getting. It's sort of like maybe almost like
I find small batch to be very perfumey on the nose.
yeah. Yeah.
Terrible at this game.
Yeah. No, but I like it. And then that to me is also you have kind of the sweet but it's like a light sweetness combined with a little more of the robust spice note there.
Yeah.
And I like that contrast. That's great.
I try to make small batch fruit forward and then finish with some, cinnamon and rye spice and like a little bit of oak, a little bit of depth,
Definitely has a backbone to it.
but finish sweeter and more cinnamon spice than oak and earthy flavors.
Yeah. Yeah, there was kind of I don't know, maybe a little bit of vanilla in there. As well.
I don't know.
Cinnamon.
Yeah, the thing is, it's always the finish. It's always dial it in the finish is that's where the work comes in. And like even when people want me to be on a panel, like to taste blends, it's always the guy who figures out the finish that wins. Like you'll have ones where it's like it's great up front, and then the finish is just.
Well, that's what's
And the other thing I've learned is most people don't know what finish means. Like nobody's really doing like bourbon reviews the way they used to, but I think they thought finish meant like alcohol burn going down. I was like, no, finish is the flavors you're left with.
Yeah.
still in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of find like as you go through, your glass, it will change throughout the taste, and you kind of get down to the bottom, and that's so when people talk about finish, I think it's kind of hard to get right out the gate.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a revisit.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, I
I
come
mean,
back to it, and the nose changes, and you get more.
ethanol's evaporating.
Yeah,
Your saliva's proofing it down with every sip.
yeah.
So that last sip has got a little bit of you in it, you know?
I like that. I like that. I'm gonna steal that one.
You know?
Before we get before we run out of time here, we've already been talking for an hour. This is all stuff that we can find on our shelf every single day. I know you
Oh yeah.
guys have a ton of other offerings that we don't necessarily see on our shelves. And I was
Yeah, I mean, I
got
try to
some
keep my rare stuff pretty rare. I see a lot of brands where they're like, "Oh, it's another limited release." Like, I think
Oh,
that's
limited.
very telling.
Yeah,
yeah.
Where if you keep having limited releases, it means you're not selling, like, I don't know, it just seems desperate for like, and so, and I don't go, okay, it's December, we got to come out with a limited. Like, I have to be inspired. Like, sometimes 2 years will go by and I haven't done anything limited. And sometimes I do 4 because, like, all this shit's happening. I'm like, oh, fuck, look at these barrels. Look at this. We get to do this, and also depends on what my, like, workload is and what I'm dealing with. Because if I'm just dealing with a bunch of bullshit all the time, I don't get, like, creatively inspired. I'm not like, I just don't want to deal, I don't want to deal with anything. All that's going to change because we're, like, moving in a direction where I'm going to be doing, we're going to have a sales team. We're going to have people handling all that stuff. And
yeah,
I can just blend and do merchandise and figure out cool stuff. And also because we have to, I mean, we've outgrown the ability to, like, do what needs to be done just through social media. But so the most recent one that came out is Triple Sevens. That was a blend of 7-year-old mash bills. The traditional rye, 51 rye, 45 corn, 4 barley. The barrel pick bourbon, which is like super limited, 39% rye, 10% malted rye, 51 corn, and then the traditional 36 rye, 4 barley, 60 corn. And it's so funny, because we did, like, so many of these, like, that 39% rye barrel picks. And, the world's changed. They sit on the shelves now, and I see people like, oh, 4 years ago, there would have been a line for this. I was like, yeah, that's true. There isn't now. 4 years ago, I sold, like, no straight bourbon. We couldn't move it. And now we do thousands of 12 packs a month. And 4 years ago, nobody bought small batch. And now there's states where that's like the no, next to straight, that's the number one mover. But even the irony of those barrels is MGP only did a few thousand of them. Like,
Mhm.
to talk about 4 years ago, all those 8-year 36% rye. Well, I have 8-year 36% rye now. And the way the market's going, I'll have 12-year 36% rye in 4 years. What I won't have is any 39% rye single barrels. And everyone is going to be like, oh, dude, do you have a 39% rye 7-year barrel pick for Smoke Wagon? These are the shit. You didn't get one when they came out? Ha, ha, ha. And that's just like how it goes. Like, I could not sell Desert Jewel when it was out. And now people are like, oh, Desert Jewel. Or, like, every year, it's like, these uncut batches suck. You want the 20, like, last year's, and it's like, but last year you said they sucked and you wanted the year before, it's always like what you can't get is
yeah, 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 totally. Yeah, because we're seeing your beautiful wall behind you, and you have some rare and limited up there, and then you
yeah.
guys kind of moved into doing a little bit more of like the straight rye whiskeys, right? And the Mexican
Yeah,
rye.
that was good for about 6 months. And then that, man, talk about, you think bourbon fell apart. Ooh, rye. Rye was on a ship, the Titanic. It's at the bottom of the ocean right now. Uh I mean, I'm not going to stop doing them. I'm glad we have them.
Yeah.
But I'm also glad that the health of the business does not rely on make a rhyme on how much rye we sell. It's cool. And I think the other thing too is now that I have these new custom bottles, I think the problem with the bottle and bond rye is everybody thinks a bottle and bond, if it doesn't have an age statement, it's 4 years old. So they look at it and it's like $65 or whatever. And like, I'm like, that's not 4 years old. So those I'll probably put age statements on and then do a 4 year in the new bottle that because that makes sense price wise, where like that's what somebody would expect to pay for 4 year. And then the malted barley rye, that's just it's there.
Yeah.
It's cool. No one's buying mink underpants because of the sales of malted barley rye. And when people say, "Oh yeah, what do you think about American single malts?" I'm like, I got a product that's only 49% single malt, and 20% of people like that flavor profile. Like, people do not like that. It is way too funky. It's way too weird. There are people that love it, like myself, but I only drink that in the wintertime. And so, yeah. And then the Blender Select. The Blender Select is definitely, I'd say, the one that everybody loves the most, but it's just, it's a price point now that, nobody's buying like stuff in the 70s anymore.
Well, you're doing a good job at hiding the limited stuff because I haven't been able to find any rare limited.
Well, you're in California, so my distributor in California is very small. I don't know when this is going to post, so I don't know how much I should talk about. I don't want him to see it.
It'll
See
be
this.
5 weeks. About 5 weeks.
Oh, okay. Oh, 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we're moving on. We've got a big distributor in California now, and
Congratulations.
you'll be able to find stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's actually, if this isn't coming out for 5 weeks, we're doing a national alignment with Southern. And so you guys are the only ones that know about that. So don't spill the beans. Everyone will know in 5 weeks.
We'll spill the beans in 5 weeks.
Yeah. It's pretty cool because we really only wanted to go with them. That's the wrong way to phrase it. We just asked to go with them in states we weren't in because the world's changed and small distributors just really, there are a couple exceptions, but for the most part, it just doesn't work anymore because you got to do volume and you have to have exposure. You need end caps, you need stacks. Scarcity is nobody's friend. Well, that's not true. It's Sazerac's friend. But if you're not Sazerac, scarcity is not going to be your friend. Yeah. No one gives a shit that your stuff's rare. There's not enough people buying that. People don't, and so you got to get into that growing $25 to $40 market. And the way you got to do that is with a distributor that has, influence over retailers and reach. And when I'm in Total Wine or whatever, there's a Southern merchandiser in there. Even talking to guys who left RNDC is they'd be in Walmart and it'd be them and 30 people doing the shelves from Southern, and so people like to talk shit about big distributors, and I just think everybody was successful during the boom, and they all just started distributing. And they're like, I don't know why people are out in market working. You just sit in your office and people call.
Yeah.
And, and it's well, that was for 3 years. Now you got to go back out and market. You got to have a sales force and you got to have people.
Yeah.
And even for us, we have to put together a sales team, a national sales team, because I can't be everywhere and we have to have, but yeah, so you should be able to see more stuff in California soon.
Okay. good to know.
Good to hear. And honestly, I think the thing I respect about what you're doing the most is how much work you're putting in to get delicious products into people's hands at prices that they can actually pay. Like
Oh,
that's
thank you. Yeah, that's the goal, you know. That's how you become real.
yeah.
Like if it's all just hype and I mean, who knows? Like look, even Sazerac now, you can find regular Buffalo Trace for 24 something all day long.
Yeah.
You can find Eagle Rare. Like I remember being in bourbon groups. I'm still in like these Facebook groups, and like a year ago, somebody found Eagle Rare for like $300. People were like, oh, dude, that's sick. And now somebody, if they pay like $50, everyone's like, you're an idiot. That's $39 all day long where I live. So it's like you gotta start connecting with like actual drinkers and consumers if you want to be real. And
Yeah.
and we never sold out, not because no one made us an offer, but because we didn't want to. Like, this is what I want to be doing. And I chose this over the bar business because there's no like expiration date due to age. Like, I'll be too old to walk in a bar. I'll be like fucking creepy guy if I'm not already there, like killing the vibe. Like all these kids doing dumb shit that I don't understand. Like when I was your age, we used to party. I don't know what the fuck you kids are doing, but like you never get too old to be the guy making bourbon. It's like the older you get, you get more legitimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I like working and something bad would have to happen for us to like sell. Like, we fucked up and we gotta, it's like, so to have longevity and to be a legacy, you have to have like a real fan base that's drinking your stuff and like their kids grow up and drink it. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy, like time, because like I signed bottles in 2017 for somebody's kid. And now those kids, they're like, fucking almost halfway, they're like that was 8 years ago. They're almost they're like going to be 21. Like I'm going to still be doing this when they're 21, like I'll be around doing this when that bottle that I signed for that kid turns 21. And 7, 8 years ago, it just was like, oh man, that's a long way away, but not anymore. And so that's what I want is like, to have real fans. And like I've never like sent anything to like influencers or anything, and so they never talk about us because sorry influencers, I don't see any value in that because they'll just post whatever somebody pays them to post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A guy who's
Thought you were
got
the social media influencer.
me.
You are the answer.
You are. In the bourbon
Well, that is. I mean, there were times where someone's like, "Hey, if you send me a bottle, I'll like really promote it." I'm like, I have 47,000 followers and you have 3. I don't know if you're going to get a bigger reach than I am, but and so that was the thing. Like, if somebody had like 60 followers and they posted a picture, I'd like it and I'd share it. And because that is value, that's a guy or a girl, like where they've got pictures of their dog, pictures of their kids, fucking flowers. I don't fucking know. And then a bottle and like, it's real versus the page. It's like bottle after bottle after bottle. Now, I mean, if it's somebody that's really into bourbon and that's their thing, it's different. But just like somebody that's like gonna post whatever, I don't know. I just want everything to be organic.
Yeah.
You know?
You definitely have like an authenticity,
Sure.
throughout all your products for sure, and I think it would be kind of an easy slippery slope, you're getting product from MGP to just kind of crank some stuff out, but you're really putting your touch on it. And like we said, that's some of that desert magic on, and making it your own and authentic. And I mean, I think we've all been following along on the uncut, unfiltered, that's a force in and of itself of just all it's fun
Oh
to
yeah.
watch your videos and, hear about, oh, on this batch, it's a little bit more oaky or it's, a little more of that cinnamon spice, red hots and stuff. So,
Yeah. I mean, because I try to pick out flavors on those so that if somebody hears something they don't like, they don't buy it.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody buying anything that, like, not every batch is going to be for everyone because it's not consistent. And so I just feel like, hey, I know there's people that do not like cinnamon spice in bourbon. I love it. So I'm like, this got a lot of cinnamon spice. If you don't like cinnamon spice, you're not going to like it. And if you don't like big oak, you're not going to like this. And it's weird because, like, all all the OG barrel picks, like when we had people waiting for 3.5 years, when we gave them those 39% rye barrels, they were like, holy shit, this is amazing. Can I do all these? And like when we give them to stores, they're like, oh my God, this is like the best barrels I've ever had. And then I give them to like, and then we open up the list and it's all like new groups. And they're like, this is kind of off putting. We don't really like this. I'm like, I tried all of those samples. What the fuck are you talking about? And I'd go back and resample them like, these are amazing. Maybe I've lost it. Like, I'm not the kind of person that's gonna be like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I go, oh shit. Maybe I've lost it. Like all these people are like rejecting samples, and I'll send them to either like actual people who get paid for their palate and like have real knowledge, or the OG groups or whatever. And like, dude, these barrels are fucking insane. I was like, okay, it's not me. I'm like, what's wrong? What do you guys want? Like when they reject them now, and they don't want a barrel pick. They just want a bottle with their name on it, and they want it to be like a core expression daily sipper. I'm like, that's not a barrel pick to me is like, it's like a memory in a bottle. Like it only exists for like that period of time. Like I don't want to drink that every day and have it gone. I want to drink uncut or small batch every day. And then like, I need something else. That's what I'm like, you guys just want, and like, they just want a easy sipper cast strength. I'm like, that's Desert Colt, man.
Yeah.
It's 39 bucks. I'll write your name on it, like I have no finding like really cool, interesting barrels is what I want to do. I'm like, oh fuck, that's crazy. I don't want to go try to find barrels that taste like Desert Colt. Like,
You got
you
this.
know,
Yeah.
so it's
Well,
weird.
very cool. I really enjoyed the conversation. Do you have any like final thoughts here, Aaron?
Parting words, any wisdom you want to?
Parting word. Well, I mean, you guys have said you've been fans for a while, and I really appreciate it because you are what makes it happen. If it wasn't for you, uh, I wouldn't be doing anything, and it's like, and and I hope that it comes across. I mean, there's people that call me an asshole, or like, I don't know, they don't like my personality, or they think I'm full of shit, or it's an act or whatever, and it's weird, but like I still go to events to stand behind a table to like meet people because I want them to know that like, hey, like it's important to them and they're important to me. It's I never in a million years dreamed that the brand would be where it was. And it was all just out of like trying to figure it out because we didn't have any money. All our money went to making sure we contract distilled a shit ton of barrels every year so that we could have affordable stuff in the future. And that was always the model. And so I was like, well, we don't have any money for marketing. Okay, what do we get? I'll fucking try social media, and it's free, and I'll go out and do stuff, and I'll travel, and we got as far as we could without a sales team. But yeah, so thank you. Thanks for having me. I mean, you could interview whoever you want, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we're doing Distilling the West, so we're focusing on distilleries in the Western United States. So you guys have definitely been on our list for a while, and so we're super appreciative that we could put this together and make it happen. And
Oh yeah,
you know,
I'll always do it. Like it's kind of like my philosophy about being always. I never see myself as like too important or too good to like stand behind a table, and I'll never send a brand ambassador to do any of this stuff. It's like if eh, I'll never be too busy. It's like it's so important. Like,
yeah.
you know,
Well, we really appreciate you sending all the samples. You really took care of us on that. And
Right on.
yeah, it was fun to drink through for sure. Well, Aaron Chepenik,
What's that?
That is our producer,
that's not
Dave.
even knows his head.
He usually gives the thumbs up earlier on. But yeah.
Oh, is time's up? Is that the thumbs up?
No. He was saying
Thank you. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that was his nonverbal thank you. Yeah, usually I guess we missed that on the intro. But
the second day or the first day, depending on how you want to look at it.
yeah, definitely. No, he's on the ones and twos for us, keeping the ship right.
Right on.
Well, cool. Thank you again for your time this afternoon.
My pleasure.
Super
Thanks guys
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Love your stuff, and I'm just
Shit.
I
I
don't
was
even know
drinking
before blown
coffee.
away with how authentic you are.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad you liked everything and nobody puked or spit it out in the middle of the podcast. That's always a good sign.
Definitely a good sign.
Yeah.
This is my first time trying the Desert Colt.
What did you think?
It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, that, sub $40 cast strength, I think is
That's amazing.
yeah, especially when you put it in that context, it's like, wow, yeah, okay, that's some good affordable juice right there.
that's the thing. Like, bourbon does not have to be expensive to be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Scotch. It's but and I don't know. I love Desert Gold. I love them all. I even love straight.
Yeah, you said it's not Scotch. You're right. It's not Scotch. It's better.
Yeah, I think it's better. The only thing that makes Scotch drinkable is it's aged in used bourbon barrels.
Yeah.